Hi there, this is Dorian Skioka from GenkiStamper.com, and today we're going to be making this fun fancy fold card. Isn't that cool? Open, close, and ta-da! Surprise! So it's called a fancy fold because it's just a little bit more fancy than a normal card. So we're going to be making this using a 12-inch by 5.5-inch sheet of paper. And what we're going to do with that sheet of paper, this 12-inch by 5.5-inch, we're going to score it first at the 2-inch, 4-inch, 8-inch, and 10-inch marks. And then after we score it, we're going to go up about 1.5 inches on each side, and we're going to cut it across. Okay? Now, this might sound a little bit difficult, but is actually very easy, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So I have my scoreboard, and I'm going to put a piece of paper on it, and I'm going to start scoring. Let me move that up just a smidge so you can see. I'm going to start at the 2-inch and score it, then again at 4 inches, and skip over to 8 inches, and then once more at 10 inches. Okay, so now I'm done with the scoreboard. I'm going to get out my paper trimmer, and I'm going to put that in here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up at 1.5 inches across the top this way. And I'm going to start cutting at the very last score line. So at the 10-inch or at the 2-inch, you'll need to start cutting, and you will cut across to the last score line. So from one end of one score line all the way to the other end of the other score line on the very edge of the paper. So put it in there again, 1.5 inches. And make sure it's nicely lined up and nice and straight. And before I press it down, I'm going to make sure that my little guide down here is starting at 10 inches. So that's at 10 inches, because I don't want it to cut my paper unless it's at that 10-inch mark. And then I'm going to cut my paper up to the 2-inch mark, and then stop. Okay, so you could do the exact same thing by making marks on your paper using a ruler and measuring in 1.5 inches here and 1.5 inches there, and then drawing a line and cutting it with an X-Acto knife. But I prefer to just use my trimmer. It's a little bit faster, and I don't have to get out the X-Acto knife and the mat that way. So I'm going to put the paper in at 1.5 inches from each side. Put that trimmer cutter up at 10 inches. Okay, and then cut and stop at the 2-inch mark again. Just want to make sure it stops right there. Okay, and there we go. Now we have 3 strips here. We have the strips on the end, 2 strips on the end, and this 1 strip in the middle. Now we're ready to fold our card. When we fold the card, we're going to fold one side. We'll do a like a mountain fold, and over, under, over, under. We're going to do a mountain fold on this end and a mountain fold on this end. Okay, the 2 end strips are going to be the same, and then the middle strip is going to do opposite of whatever I did on the ends. So then I did over here, so next crease I'm going to go under. And I can use my bone folder if I want to make those nice and crisp, but for the sake of time I'm just going to use my fingernails. So the next one goes over, and then the last one is going to go under. Okay, now that inside strip is going to do the opposite of whatever I did on the end. So these went over, so this one is going to fold under. These went under, so this one goes over. Okay, so I have under, over. Then this one's going to go under or be a valley fold. And then the last one will go over. Okay, so now when I fold it, it will fold up like this. And this is what I see when the card is closed. And, whoops, there it is. That's what I see when the card is open. Okay, so closed. Oops, closed correctly, please. Closed. And then open. Oops, that one's not acting quite right. Okay, so now I have my card, and I got it figured out, and I'm ready to add some paper to make it look really nice. So here's the one that I've done. And what I'm going to do is I just used my ruler to, again, measure how long everything was, just to double check. But remember, these across are 2 inches across, 2 inches across. This side is 2 inches, 2 inches, and this one is 4 inches. So 2 inches by 5.5, because that's what I started with, is 5.5. So all I did was made sure that I cut my paper to be just a 1/4 inch smaller on each side. So when I cut it just a 1/4 inch smaller, then I get a nice little outline on the outside, a little mat like that. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to open up my card completely. I'm going to put down all the paper, the designer series paper that I have cut out, and I'm going to make sure that I like the way that it looks. And I just used 1 sheet of designer series paper for this card. And I used, this one is one side and this is the other. And the thing about stripes is that I like them all to go the same way. So if I put that one there, then the stripes don't match. So I'm going to not put that there. Okay, so there I go. And then I'm going to put down a little mat right there, and then a little place where I can either stamp or write a sentiment. Okay, so I'm going to tape those down really quickly, and we'll see what it looks like when it's all done. Alright guys, so I have put down almost all of the papers, and I want to show you what it looks like so far. I went ahead and I stamped an image on here, and then I inked out all the edges. And I actually stamped this with Versamark, which is this ink right here that is used often for embossing. But I also like to use it for stamping light images. You can kind of see it back there. It's just kind of like a, almost like a little hologram image. You can just barely see it. It's really cute. And so if you aren't familiar with how to ink edges, I thought I'd show you that real quick. So I'm going to take some of my early espresso ink, and I just, you can either scrape it along the side like that, which works also, or you can pull it towards you like that, and sometimes that will give you more of an inky edge. So I have that right there, and I'm going to put just a little bit more tape on it. I had actually put tape on it already and put it down, and I forgot that I hadn't stamped it or hadn't inked it yet. So there you go. Now we have a fancy fold card, and this is what it looks like when somebody opens it up. You can have a little message right there, and then ta-da! Or you can even do it like that too. It's up to you. You can have it like this, and then ta-da! See? So many possibilities. Beautiful. So there you go. That is our fancy fold card.